So this is my registration activity. I need to read these values: username, phone, national ID, password. Only these 4 values. The password and re-password is just for on the client side to confirm the values were same, so the user is not writing the wrong password. So I will be effectively only reading these 4 values from here. So let me just close this, go back to the Java file. This is the Java file, the register activity. You have done the connections for username, phone, national ID, password. I need to get the text, which is the string, out of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The string out of this. Formulate a string like this, for example, as I showed to you over in the other activity, which is this one, something like this. Formulate a string like this and then send it to the server. So let me just form a string by reading all of this. First of all, the reason I'm coming here, not before the text, is that all of this if else is checking the data entry errors, meaning if there is something left blank. If it is left blank, then you will just show the error to the user or show the text using the toast that this is blank. After this finishes, I need to send now data to the server. So that's why I come after this and just before starting another activity. So now here I will read all those values, formulate that string like this. Let me just comment it out so that you can see this is just a sample. So I'll write here string message is equal to register. It starts from register. Why this register? Because the server will see this is register. It will go and insert into the database. So that your message should start with register if you want to register. Your message should start with login if you want to log in, as it does in this case. In the main activity, you see, it starts with login if you want to log in. So it starts with the login and then takes user ID and then password and then it sends to the server. So we need to do the same thing. So I come to register. What should I add next? This username, then phone, then national ID, password, re-password. Okay. Our username, and then we have phone number, and then we have national ID, and then we have our password. Username, phone number, national ID, password. Do we have only these 4 things? Anything else? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we need to make these strings actually. So to make the string, you have to just plus, and this comma should be inside this, and then plus, this comma should be inside the brackets, plus this comma, and then plus. So this is creating the string. It is now formulated. Right. I'm missing plus here, so I write the missing plus, and here missing plus. Yes, exactly. So now we can combine all of this and string. So my string is ready. If I send this to the server, I expect the server to now go and insert it into the database and tell me back, get back to me with a code. 0 if it's unsuccessful, 1 if it's successful, 2 if there is a problem. Maybe if it exists already. So I will create this logic. It's in my mind. I need to create this logic at the server's end also. Okay. So I create this message and I send it to the server. How do I send it to the server? This main activity has this one method, send to the server. And what this do is, it is actually sending your message to the server. That's also, it's a dummy method, you can say, but it is doing the actual communication part with the server. I send it to the server, I just copy it actually in my register activity, come down somewhere outside this method, outside the onCreate, yes, and paste it here. So you paste it here, send to server, and yeah, this is just an example I created. So this should now work. Now the reason it is complaining is it does not know what is client, it does not know what is writer. So you need to copy these two things from the other file also. So this client and writer are here at the top of the main activity. You press Control Enter wherever, it will tell you where it is. I don't know what is client. Control Enter, it will show me where it is declared. It is declared here. I copy in the register activity at the top, just below where the activity starts. I write them there, so the errors go away. So now it knows what is client, it knows what is writer. So I now save it from here. Now make sure this IP is your IP, the new IP. Every time you connect in the college, you will get a new IP. If the college, eventually you get to communicate with the IP. Now, if you're doing emulator, if you are connecting via emulator, there is always a special ID for the emulator. I'll tell you what that ID is. Maybe I'll email you if I find out. I don't remember. It is 10.00.22, I think. So make sure you connect to the server like this. So that's all you need to do to send that information to the server. So you come here, you have the send to server method. You need to use it actually. Here, you formulate the message is ready. Now you need to send it to this method. How? Int result code. It will give back to you a result code, and then you run this method send to server. Here, send to server, and give it this message. You pass on this message, it will send this message to the server. It will send this message to the server. So send to server is a method, is a function which you copied, this one, which sends a message to the server. What is this message? You wrote over here. Yeah, this actually it is register and this complete, and you store it in a string called message. This is the message which it sends to the server. Let's save and see what's the error now. Cannot confirm from boolean to int. Okay, this is boolean actually, true or false. It gives me true or false. But when you're registering, you say you just don't need true or false, like in login successful or unsuccessful. That's only two cases which can be in login. But in registration, there can be three cases. The registration is successful, registration is not successful if there is some existing username there already, or maybe you can add more cases, like for example say some database error, network error, etc. But you can also have only two if you like. So you can have true or false. True if successful, false if not successful. What is the reason? Maybe it is there already. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If it is not available, then it is unsuccessful, right? So what is the point in login? Why is it unsuccessful? Because wrong password or wrong ID. But in case of registration, why it will be unsuccessful? Because it's already there. I don't think there is a third case, except if you want to add the networks issues, etc. Okay, so I recommend keep it to boolean. If you want to add 3 or 4 cases, make it integer. So in which case you have to change this also a little bit, send to serve. If it is returning right now boolean, meaning true or false, then it will return integer if you want to add that functionality. I recommend don't add that functionality now. So coming back to this, it sends to the server this message simply. Now you get back a result code. If it is 0, it is error. If it is 1, successful. Okay, so if it is 1, let's say you look at this code for reference. You see this main activity? Look at this code for reference. If login successful, so 0 is taken as false, 1 is taken as true. So if login successful, meaning if it is true, then you go to the other activity. Else you show a message that there is some problem. So you do the same thing here in the register. If result code is equal to true, this is equal to saying this, if true, meaning because result code has true. Okay, and if you want to do this, if result code is equal to true, you can also do. Then do this. Start the intent, the other intent, meaning go to the next page. So meaning sign in, you're now able to go into the application and see the next page. If it is not true, then else, now you show the message. I'm just going to copy this toast. Else you show here unable to register, maybe the ID already exists. That's it. So your client code is finished. From your Android, this is all you need to do. Send it to the server. Do the, first of all, you did the toasts. You did the, you made sure user has entered user ID, password, phone, etc. It's not empty. And then you send it to the server. And when the server give back to your result code, you start another activity if it was true. If it was false, you display a message. So your client code is ready for registration. Now you need to add server code for inserting into the database. Let me just write some comments over here. Now it sends the information to the server by writer.write. What is writer.write? An object which has connection to the server's socket. A socket which is connected to the server. So it writes to the server and then it waits for the server to respond. And now prepare an object to read the server's response and then keep reading server's response line by line. So if it has next line, it will keep reading again and add it to a receive message. So this will be a received message, whatever the server respond to you. But in our case, right now the server will only want to respond only 1 or 0, true or false. So this guy will actually keep on reading whatever so there is. So you can send back a page if you like, a big page, HTML page, etc. from the server if you like. But it does not make sense to you. When this will make sense to you? When you have lots of buses information, lots of malls information, etc. Okay, khalas, that's all. So this is your client code. Now the next part is your server code. Let me just save this. So you formulate a message here and then you send it to the server. Now let's move to the server. This is our server. How does the server start? Let me just explain to you. The server starts here actually. Start the server at port number 4545. You can change it also. But if you change it here, because I've just written 4545 from my mind, it can be anything else also. But if you change it here, you also have to change it here. You see, the send to server, because it connects to the IP address on port number 4545. So you want to come back here and change it also if you want. But the server starts at port number 4545 and prints out that it is started and waiting for the clients now. And as soon as a client is connected, this is what runs. Stopping here and waiting for the client. As soon as the client is received, a connection is received, it comes here at this point. And this is what you need to be focused on, this code. From buffered output stream and scanner, etc., like this, from here. Start here and finish here. So I've done the login bit, it is working. For registration, what you need to do is check if the message starts with login, it goes to the login method, which is a login function. If the message starts with register, it should go to the register function, which is not there. We have to create. Okay. We have not created. Yeah, we will create the register function now. If you look at the login, this is the login function. So you need to add this function for each and every use case you have. You know, your functionality, for each feature, you need one function like this. This one is doing login. Another method exactly like this should do register, but change the insertion, change the queries, etc. Another function like this, it should do check bus timing. That should be its name for the bus project. Another function for you, reserve parking. So there should be functions like this. So you will come here actually and you will write, if the message starts with register, then go to register, give him this message and this out. What is this out? How to write the response actually, where to write the response, and etc. like this. Else if message dot starts with reserve bus or reserve parking, then you copy paste here this and say reserve parking and add a function for reserve parking, and you can then copy the whole thing and keep on repeating for your other functions. Let's say if it starts with get bus location, then you go and do get bus location. Okay, working. So this is some example of login which is working. This is an example of register which is not working. We need to write this register code. Reserve parking, we'll go to reserve parking. Get bus location, we'll go to get bus location. What you need to do is, this is the login function. You need to copy and paste it. There has to be one function for every functionality, and change the code over here. This is the implementation of the server, not the client. So you receive message from the client. Now you should go and insert in the database as far as the registration is concerned. So we'll do for register. Let me just copy this. Register, and I will register. So what I need to change over here is, this was my login function. Let me just indent it a little bit so it looks a little more pretty. This is my login function. This is my login function. What is this message? This is the message received from client. This is the output writer object where server will write its response. So now this is my register which I just copied and pasted. Now I need to make changes to it. This is my register function to add users in the database table called users or user. Message, this is the message received from client to register. It contains all form fee values. Whatever the user has filled up is inside this message. This is the output writer object. Server writes its response to this object. So this is what it is basically. So let's see, reserve parking is not there, get bus location is not there, but this is what you will fill up. So let me just delete this so we have error free code. Now for registration, what we will do, we have to get a user ID, a password, what else, string, national ID, what else, string, phone, and then we need to populate its value like this, and then create an insert query, and khalas, we are done with the registration. That's how it works broadly. So move forward. Okay, so if it comes to the register, the first letters are register. It will go to the register method. This register method will give back a result code, which is always also boolean or integer. In this case, integer. If it's 0, then it is unsuccessful, some failure happened. 1, then it is successful. If it is successful, we will send back the result code as 1. If it is unsuccessful, we will send back the result code as 0. So where is this if and else happening? If it is successful and unsuccessful, it's happening inside here, register. It will give us back 0 or 1, or true or false. So that's what we can actually configure. So this result code is an integer. So let's go to register here. It is sending us back. This is the return type, an integer. And if you look at the login, this is the login. It's also sending us back an integer, which is 0 or 1. Alternately, you can use a boolean if you like to say true or false. Inside this, you see this one, I'm sending 1 because if there was a record, and this should be for the login. If there was a record, meaning something matched over here in the database with this user ID and password, if something matched in the database, then there is a record, meaning one record, and return 1, which is successful. Otherwise it will come here, finish the program, and return 0, which is unsuccessful. So now in this case, what we want to do, we want to modify this whole code. In this code, we will leave this driver manager.get connection, because this is just simply connecting to the database, and then this is our SQL query. We want to have SQL query to not ask the database, not read something, but to insert. It should be inserting. So the insert we get from here. This is the insert. Right click and copy to clipboard, and you can see insert statement. So it will generate an insert statement and copy it in the clipboard, and then you can just come here and paste here. You need to create a string from this also. Copy it from, it copies from the clipboard, you see. Let me do this here, let me show you here. I copy to the clipboard the insert statement. I paste it here. Insert into admission, users, user ID and password, value here. You change the values here. I need to change the values to, user ID will be, let's say, 5678, and password will be AB or something else. ABCD. Okay, and whenever you're writing string, it should be in quotes, single or double quotes. Some database allow single quotes, some allow double quotes, some allow both, single quote and double quotes. So now I will execute this. What it will do, it will create a new user with the user ID 5678 and this password. So it gives me an error here, an error in SQL syntax. What's the complete error? At line 1, okay. You have an error in SQL syntax at the manual. Okay, let's change this to this, and now run. So now it went inside, okay, because it allows double quotes. So let's go to the user and select rows. You will see 5678 is there, and ABCD. So we did this through as SQL statement, insert statement. Which SQL statement? This one. It gave us in the clipboard. Now we want to formulate this whole statement similarly over here and put it in a string and then execute it. So that's what we want to do first. So let's do this. This query is not effective anymore because this is only for selecting. You know what is selecting? This one, like this is query, select asterisk from. So you can do this also here. Copy clipboard the select query. Select where user ID is equal to 1234, and let's now run this. So yes, this user ID is there. Select from, or you can have this asterisk also, from admissions.user where user ID is 1234. So it will give you this user ID and password. If you give it 567, okay, there's no record with 567 or 5678. Yeah, this is the record we just inserted. So now we need the same here. We need to insert here. So we'll turn it into this string. Just make it one line. And this means fill up this inside, whatever is to be filled up. So I'll write here these details: user ID, password, phone, national ID. So for your case, we have 4 things. In this case, we have only 2 things: user ID and password. Okay, because this is Emirates ID. So let me just fill up this whole user ID and password, and then I'll send it forward. So user ID will be this user ID, and password will be this password. So I'll write here, delete, stop the string, add to it this user ID, and add to it this comma, and add to it this password. So this password should be character. All characters go in double quotes, right? So I'll write here password and this user ID. Yes, it's supposed to be user ID. And password. This is the bracket open, bracket close. And this is a string. So this is my string query is equal to this. So this is now stored in a query. I will now run this query. How do I run this query? You know what I just did? I've just formulated this one. I just formulated this insert statement correctly in my Java code. This whole. I just replaced the user ID and password from here to here. This is supposed to go and have a user ID, and this is supposed to go and have a password here, up to here. So I do that, and I fill up. The user ID has this user ID, password has this password. So this is a placeholder. User ID has user ID, password has password. So now I submit it, and you see this const.create statement.execute query. This will actually be working for the select only. For inserting or updating, we have to change this code slightly. I'll show you how. So I'll be writing this execute update, because execute query is to ask a question, it gives me back an answer. Statement.execute update, and in this I'll write this query. Yeah. and this execute update will give me back an integer. What integer? 0, 1 or whatever. So I'll just change this integer and result. So that should do it. And then if rs is equal to 1, meaning it is successful, this result, sorry, the result is 1, meaning it is successful, return 1, otherwise return 0. This should do the insertion. You know, an easy way to run this without the mobile phone is copy this whole command in the test class. The test class. So the test class we use to log in, we can also use it to, yeah. So without to bypassing the mobile phone or bypassing the emulator. So I'll just copy this register code in the test class, this test class, and this was doing what? This was logging in. Login test code. I'm gonna select this and block this actually. Source add block command. And here I'm gonna only select this one. And run this here in the test. Okay. So the message I'm expecting should be something like this. String message is equal to register, and I'll write the ID and password only. So the ID is Asma, comma, password is ABCD. That's my user ID and password. So I do this through the register. So you see, this is how I get my register. First index of +1, meaning after this, whatever is there is until comma, meaning until comma. Give it in the do the message.substring to it and give it in the user ID. Secondly, password is show me where the comma is, first comma, which is this, and up till the end, and store it in the password. So I've got my user ID and password. This is my message, and then I'm gonna insert this over here with this query. So it does not do this. So okay, this is the test class. We'll just print out system.out.println insert successful, and otherwise it should say insert failed. So let's run this now. Test class, right click, run as Java application. If it fails, let's see why does it fail. Okay, we have problem there. The problem is the user ID is Asma, password is ABCD. It says unknown column Asma. Actually, what the problem is, since this is the email for the admission system, you cannot have Asma as the user ID. You have to have number. So I'll change that over here to number. Yeah, so I'll change this to the number, user ID and password. So I'll change this here as maybe from Asma to 8080, and password is ABCD. So I'll change this to a number, integer dot parse int. You know what this is. user ID changes to the integer, and then password is this. Let's run this now. Right click, test, run as Java application. Insert successful, and then insert fail. So insert successful, basically it is successful. Why it is successful? Let's come here. User, select rows. You see 8080 and ABCD. We have done the insert. And it is working. So this message should be else actually, because we are just testing it. So the message is coming like this. Else insert failed. So can I do that again in front of you? I change the values over here. The ID to maybe 8181, password is ABCD, and I run this test class. And I run this test class. Right click, run as, thank you, Java application, and it says insert successful. What does this mean, insert successful? You're able to insert into the database. Let's look at this. Select the top rows again, and you see 8181 is there. So that's how you insert into this, and you can get the query from the database. Now we want to run this from the mobile. So from the mobile, what you need to do is send this information, formulate the message, and the server needs to execute the register, and then the same method will be inserting. So let's do this in the mobile. What we did need to change over here, only this, because we are changing this to integer, not string. So you guys, when you are inserting in your table, because your table is accepting strings, so you can change this to just user ID, what it was before, without integer.parseInt. So let's go back to the register activity. Server, because you are doing the client code, we have done the client code. So the parking server should do this. I just pasted over here, and it should now, inshallah, it should run. We've got the user ID and we've got the password. Okay, so we need to send a register. So this is our register activity, and it is writing this message. Oh, this is sent to server. It is just sending. This is the send to server, and it is sending this message. Okay. This message is in the on-click listener. This is the on-click listener. Okay, it is sending this message to the server. The server reads it and just send it. It just basically sends it to the server. Now come to the server. Server checks the first characters are register. It understands it and it goes to the register method. This register method is supposed to read user ID, password, phone, national ID, and insert in the database if you are having the parking database. But now we are doing this for only admissions database, which has only two things: user ID, which is integer, password, which is string. So it will not read all of this: ID, password, phone, national ID. It will only read user ID and password. This is what it is supposed to be doing. Yeah. Yes, you have to add the column in the database. So you have to add the columns in the database, and you need to be reading like this: message.substring, message.substring, etc. like this. Okay. So let's do this. I now run this on my mobile application. First of all, this parking project. Right click. Where is my table? Let's see what's the error. First of all, if there is any. There should not be. Even if there is, we'll see how to solve it. Okay, I have connected my device. Right click, parking project, Android application. So click here. Okay. Now we need to go to sign up. These are okay. I see the activity. I go to sign up page. I write username. Should be numbers, right? 2234. Password 1212. National ID 1212. Password AZA. Password AZA. Okay. Now I'll send. When I send, my server should be active. Is my server active? Let's see if it is active. No, it's not. So let's start the server. This parking server. I'll right click, run as Java application. It should say that I'm running. Yes, server starting, waiting for requests. So now I'll send this one. Done. Password do not match. A A A A A A. Password do not match again. Okay, no problem. We'll see. So the parking project register activity. It says password is not the same. Password do not match. Okay. I'll disable this code. Right click, run as Android application. Yes sir, on Lenovo. It does start. I hope there is no other parking server. Yes, only one parking server. I go to sign up. Username I'm writing should be, in this case, a number 1234, phone number, national ID 1234, password. Well, actually, I don't need to do the cable at all. I just remove my cable because it is installed there. But I will. Okay. If there is any error first time, it should show me in the log. That's why I connected. Okay. Password is. What happened? I pressed cancel. Okay. Alright, I go to sign up. Fill up the values. Phone number 1234. I'm writing username 1212, so you guys can remember 1212. 1212, and we'll check in the database if it is inserted or not. 1212, and I press done. So it says number format exception. Exactly where? In the parking server. $123 and then $170. $170. The line numbers are written over here. It tells you the error, where it is the error. 70. Insert into database. Okay. User ID, comma, password. I'm writing comma after every one, right? So Android, this is the client message, register Android dot widget dot edit text. This should not be the message. So the message is coming wrong somewhere. So let's go back to this register activity. So our username, what is our username? We should be doing dot get text. I thought this is already a text. This is what I really thought. So we should be doing dot get text actually. Dot to string. So all of these are widgets. Actually, we cannot send widgets. We should be getting the text. Yeah, you can do fog, but I'm doing it here quickly because I'm lazy. Dot get text. Dot to string. So now I got the correct message. Okay, so it's important to print out also in the server side what you receive. So that should give you the problem, what the problem is. So let's just get rid of this error. The server is still working. The server is still working. Now I need to run this application again. Right click, run as Android application. Yes, please, on my Lenovo phone. Yeah, go to sign up. So I'm telling you my ID, which I'm entering here, 7777. Phone number is 057777. National ID is also 05777. Password is 12 or maybe AZA. Again, password is AZA, and then I do done. When I do that, result code received is 1, which means inserted. So let's go to the database. 057777 should be inserted now. So I select rows 77777 with the password. Now there's one problem. The password is long because it's everything. Because this database have only 2 user ID password, I only did 2 fields. You have to do all fields separately. So I am going to take out this now. I took out the cable. Now this is Wi-Fi. Even if it is 3G and your server is live, it will work. You're sending the information to the server goes to the database. I changed something else. I changed the user ID to 7778 now, and I press done. Let's see the server. Done. So it says unable to register. It already exists. So something already exists. 7778. Result code is 1. Okay. There's no error. We just not go outside the next step. We did not go to the next step. So there is no error. Let's look at this. The database. Select rows. 7778 is there. So you keep on registering, it will keep on working. Now the next intent should be done after this. If the result code is 1, go to the next intent. Go to the next activity, sorry. If the result code is 1, it's actually returning 1 or false or true. So whatever it is, in that next line, return false. So it should be returning here. If receive message is equal to 1, you say return true, else return false. It will return true, otherwise it will return false. Yes, you may, obviously. Is this a void? Okay. So we need to take care of this somewhere else, not here. It sends to the server. here it should send true over here if it is successful. So this is the activity you have to manage for the result code. So let me just pause this. I need to listen to her question.